Namaste. On a hot summer day in a small village in Bihar, while conducting a study on poverty, a young employee of one World Bank was almost about to collapse because of heat and exhaustion. When one of the villagers invited him to his home and fed him well, only to realize later that the guest was fed everything what the family had for next 2 days for their own food. This act of generosity changed the life of the guest. He came to the village to study poverty, and the poorest of the poorest had everything to give to others. One other incident happened where I live. A young college student was delivering pizza in a neighborhood and was shot dead by the gang. A family lost the only son. The father of the deceased decided to overcome this tragedy. The only way is forgiveness. He, along with the grandfather of the killer, made a foundation on his son's name, which is helping rehabilitate the youth which are involved in gangs in that area. This also is changing life for a lot of people. These incident I have learned through some of the TED Talks. When we hear about these incidents, it not only touches deep in our heart, but also make us introspect that what is different with some people who could act with so much compassion and love in the most difficult circumstances of their life. The difference is these people know their dharma, and also they know how to live it perfectly. Dharma, it comes from Sanskrit dri, which means one which upholds or which sustains, without which nothing stands. Dharma brings order to chaos, and it does it by pervading through the cosmos the natural principles like gravity, like magnetism, or electrical charges, which brings a perfect balance. Dharma, it tells us the causation and the purpose of existence and how to live life of wellness. To understand it further, Dharma works in an ecosystem. It all starts with undifferentiated, attribute-less source, which differentiates into 5 fundamental elements, which are more fundamental than the subatomic particles. These are Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. These 5 elements evolve over the period of time and make what we see all around us, which includes all matter, all plants, all animals, and humans. Within the ecosystem of Dharma, everything is interconnected. One affects the other. And existence of all is important for the ecosystem of Dharma. The matter executes its Dharma in form of what we try to study with fundamental sciences like physics, chemistry, and biology. Animals and plants, they exhibit their dharma through their instincts. For example, if we put grass, tiger, and a goat for food always goes for grass. Tiger for food always goes for goat. And goats always run away from the tiger. These are their dharma. The humans are the only who have to decide what is their dharma. The humans are only who can make intellectual choices. They can go both ways. They can either enrich this ecosystem or they can deplete it or destroy it. So the duty of humans are to discover their own dharma and train themselves to execute it perfectly. As we can understand with this verse from Manusmriti, Dharmo eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshata. Dharma destroys those who destroy dharma. Dharma protects those who protect dharma. So why is it that certain people are able to perform their dharma so easily and others struggle? There are obstacles to the path of dharma, and they're pretty much inherent in our nature. This is our ego, self-centeredness, anger, fear, misdirected desire, and hatred, greed, and jealousy. All these have certain science behind it, what it does to us. Fear physiology is one where the person in fear would not grow. The cells of the body goes into protective mode. They would arrest the growth and they'll go into the protection mode. The hate is against the dharma ecosystem. The dharma ecosystem is based on love for everything else in the ecosystem. When we start hating each other or hate anything within this ecosystem, we are working against the dharma ecosystem. That's where we deplete it and can be destroyed. The anger physiology works where the person in anger can never make just decisions. Aging is a process where we all know that we come from single cell. This cell has to divide trillions of times to make what we see as an adult body. That division of one cell to so many different cells has to be perfect. It has to replicate a cell exactly so that the next cell can divide and make two. The stress is the biggest retardant of this perfect division. Stress makes bad copies. We know when the child grows, it's growing in size. There's a number of cells which are increasing day by day. But as an adult also, we are replacing all our body cells. In a way, we are a copy of ourselves in 6 months. So what we touch as our skin today, we probably won't be touching in a month because the top layer of the skin is going to be shed within a month. And there is a new cells coming, and they come from division of the previous cell. If the division is not perfect, your skin is not going to be as good as it was right now if we are under stress. So aging happens because there is not a perfect copy of the cell of the previous cell, and every time a cell divides, there is less amount of DNA in the next cell. Probiotics is a fad of today, and what it is that we are living in a symbiotic relationship with trillions of bacteria. They reside on our skin. Mostly they're residing in our gut. They are essential for our survival. If all the good bacteria in the gut are killed, our survival is in question. Probiotics is consuming those healthy bacteria in your food. Also, we need to consume food for those bacteria, which is called prebiotics. So prebiotics is to feed those good bacteria so that they can grow and they produce vitamins and things which improves our immunity. To make it simple, our ancestors had put certain cardinal rules with which we can follow our dharma. They are called yam and niyam, the restraints and the practices. The first yama is ahimsa, and what ahimsa means is that anything which is non-harming to the ecosystem of dharma is how we need to practice everything. When the child is born and starts to breathe, it takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. There is an imbalance to this ecosystem. We consume food, and that also, we have to consume food from outside, and that also brings imbalance to this ecosystem. So the idea of ahimsa is that we should procure our food in the least harmful way to this ecosystem, and in a way, if we can give it back, we should. So if we are breathing oxygen and leaving carbon dioxide, maybe we should plant more and more trees, which are going to take carbon dioxide and put oxygen back in the system. As far as procuring food, we know that our tradition was organic farming. We never killed insect with insecticides. We actually infused our fields with insects which can protect the crop rather than killing them. Satya is next yama. Person living a life of truthfulness is a fearless person. They always yearn to find what is reality behind everything. Asteya means only keep the possession which you have earned. Don't keep anything which you have not earned. So that way, the addiction to the freebies we should all reject. Aparigraha means limit your possessions. Limit the possessions to the only which is required to perform your dharma. And that discourages hoarding and trying to buy new and new and new things every day. And the last one is a brahmacharya, which means divine conduct, which means staying away from anything which is addictive in nature. It's good to say no to that. The practices or the niyamas are the one which we need to train ourselves to do. We are not born to do them by ourselves. And the one I'm going to talk about is called tapas or tap. Tap is the one which is going to make things happen for us. For something to happen, we need to sacrifice. The way it works is that any decision we take, any new decision we take in life, it takes time. It will take a sacrifice of 6 weeks to 6 months to get that right. When we do that, after 6 months, it starts becoming our habit. After a year or so, if we can continue to practice those things, it becomes second nature, and then you can't live without it. So that is the power of tapasya. Now, the way we take actions is the way the thoughts come into our mind. The process of thought making happens at a subconscious brain level. 10% of our brain only is a conscious brain. 90% of brain is subconscious. We are not aware of so many things which the subconscious brain is taking care of. The heart is beating. We are breathing and we're not aware of it, but the subconscious brain keeps taking care of it. Apart from that, subconscious brain also has our instinct, desire, talents, and our intellectual abilities, likes and dislikes. To find what kind of thought is going to come out, we need to query our subconscious. The way it happens is that the senses are the one which send signal to our conscious brain. The conscious brain actually queries the subconscious, and suddenly within a fraction of a second, we have thoughts coming out. The thoughts can be of two kinds. We know that there's a thoughts which could be good for us and the thoughts which we like to do. So in a common exercise, if we decide that waking up 6 o'clock in the morning is a good thing and we set up an alarm in the morning, and when the alarm goes off, two thoughts come into the mind. One is that I decided I'm going to get up to do certain things. That is what is shreyas. That's something is good for us to do. But the bed still seems very good. So getting out of the bed is difficult. So the bed still seems what is preyas thought. Whichever dominates, we're going to take action. It's a split of a second in which we take an action. Once the action is taken, it is governed by law of karma. We have to bear the consequences of our action. There's no coming back. It's an irreversible sequence. Also, when we take that step, whether it's a prayas or a shreyas, it actually goes to the subconscious brain as a reinforcing circuit. We keep reinforcing the same behavior. So if we fail to get up the first morning, more than likely the second morning is going to be the same thing. Then comes what can fix this, how we can control our thoughts. So the way the brain we can think about is the lot of waves on the surface of the water, where the deep under the water, it's all quiet. Subconscious is a quiet part, but on the conscious brain, there's too many thoughts just floating around. There is a clutter of thoughts there. And the practice of yoga is what can make this clutter more streamlined. And that's where it acts. It acts as a level of the thoughts where you can start controlling the thoughts. There are three main paths of yoga. One is a jnana yoga, which is a path of knowledge. Sometimes knowledge itself can change your thought process so quickly. So if you listen from your teacher or somebody who really is knowledgeable and you try to get a knowledge and they tell you this is a good thing for you to do, sometimes the influence is such that your thought process changes right away. The other way is the law of the karma yoga, which is a selfless action. There are people who keep doing the same action again and again without any interest in the self-reward. This by itself keep reinforcing the brain thought circuits, which always go to prayers goes to shreyas rather than prayers. And the third one is a bhakti yoga, which means surrender to this ecosystem, the way the ecosystem, Dharma ecosystem works. The best package was put together by Rishi Patanjali, who put the 8-step together, which is called Ashtanga Yoga. And his first statement in this Ashtanga Yoga is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So yoga is a cessation of modification of the mind. That means this is the one which is going to clear the clutter of thoughts. It is going to streamline your thoughts where your actions are more towards the Dharma ecosystem. There are 8 steps to it, and the first 2 again are the same, which are the cardinal rules of Dharma, which is Yama and Niyama. The third one is asana, which is controlling your body. The fourth one is pranayama, which is controlling your breath. The fifth one, the pratyahara, which is controlling the senses. The sixth is the dharana, which is controlling mind. 7 is a dhyana, which is meditation. 8 is a samadhi, which is one with the divine. When you are in samadhi, you're totally in sync with the Dharma ecosystem. In that stage, your mind is so strong, whatever the life throws at you, good or bad, you're in a state of balance, and you always act in a way which is good for the Dharma ecosystem. So wellness is defined conventionally it is a perfect balance between mind and the body. But if you look through the lens of Dharma, the wellness is when we act with love and compassion for others in our most difficult circumstances of life. This is what we saw in those first 2 incidents that I described first. What could be worse than losing the only son? But when your mental state is in one with divine, or it's in one within the Dharma ecosystem, you can still benefit the whole ecosystem by helping others. So Dharma provides the guiding principles, and the yoga provides the training principles of wellness. When we do that, it has deep ramification into the whole society. It makes a better society and a better nation. Thank you.